Hey doing everybody, welcome back to another episode of Wicked New England, your favorite podcast on YouTube. Joined with me as always are my co-hosts.
John Anthony.
Alright, let's get this party going. So what we're going to talk about this week is actually an investigation that we did not too long ago, about a week and a half ago, and just some of the kind of mishaps that we had along the way, and how we fixed that mid-job, I should say, and turned it into something else. So yeah. But basically this last week we went to go investigate the North Burial Grounds here in Fall River. It's the oldest cemetery for the city. And we're like, never really seen anybody investigating that. I haven't seen any videos on YouTube of it or nothing like that. Just people exploring it. So we're like, we don't know if it's haunted or not. Hey, let's give it a shot, right? It's a bunch of dead people in a collection. Maybe somebody's talking.
Definitely a fun idea. I mean, I thought it was really fun because we're kind of going in blind. There's no paranormal activity that was reported. We just kind of did our own research and said, hey, looks like a cool spot. And went right into it.
Actually, there was a crypt, too, which we had every intention of sticking John in, but his big head just wouldn't fit between, like, the chain and just... It was
just to say,
problems.
I was fully on board. This wasn't like a thing where they tried to coerce me. No, as soon as Andrew approached me, this was the story. Andrew approaches me and he goes, so, John, there's a spot that we can't fit into, but we think you might be able to. And I was like, I'm in. And he was like, do you want to hear? I'm in. Oh, it's a crypt, double in. I wanted to. And then we get there, and the opening is about this big.
It was bigger than that. Come on.
It was a little bit bigger than that.
It was probably about this big.
No. It wasn't big enough to fit my head, which means it's not big enough to fit the rest of me.
Think skinny thoughts.
Yeah. Suck your gut in!
All right, so,
That's not happening.
we take Anthony's car and we get there. Anthony, if you want to talk a little bit.
We did drive around a little bit. I don't believe we had any video of us driving around in there. But we did park off the street. We walked in, checked it out for a little bit during the day. And then somebody rolled in on us and we were like, hey, who's this guy?
Yeah, we actually bumped into one of our coworkers from work, so...
who called us out, so...
I don't know if he subscribes to this channel, but Steve, I won't use your last name on the internet, but, it was good seeing you there. He had his dogs there
awesome.
running around the cemetery, getting some play in.
We all got to meet the dog. It was awesome.
One pet peeve, I gotta say, were a couple of the businesses around there, right? So I really had to go to the bathroom, like really, really bad. So we actually went to Scotty's Pub before we went down there, had a few beers, as you do. Right, some buffalo wings and such, and nobody would let me go pee. And then I was like, one of them was even a pizza parlor, and the other one was I think it was like a mini mart. So I was like, hey, I will buy a whole large pizza. Just let me use your bathroom. No, like, wow. And then I went over to the mini mart. And I'm like, I'll spend like $20 in your mini mart. No, what the? So yeah, that was a little frustrating, to be sure.
It was frustrating for him. It was very funny for Anthony and I.
Because I'm walking around like, guys, I'm really going to piss my pants if I don't find a place to pee.
And we're like,
the last thing I wanted to do was urinate inside of a cemetery.
So he ended up doing it publicly on this main street. Fortunately, there were no cars going by, but yeah, he got lucky.
I didn't desecrate any graves. That's the important part.
That's the important part.
He did aim at an unsuspecting neighbor. I'm just kidding.
Actually, I was aiming for his leg.
Kept missing. I mean, he was chasing me around. He tried, but...
No, so we get in there, and, like always, we always over-anticipate the time it's going to take the sunset. So they're like, hey, let's go set up the cameras and stuff like that. And, oh, crap, now it's pitch black. I can't see a thing. Shine a flashlight over here while I get everything ready, and so forth. Then we start walking around. We decide for this job we're each going to go our own separate ways from the jump, which is fine. We're all kind of doing our own thing. And then we encounter a skunk. Of course.
That was
two
fun.
skunks.
He encountered the skunk.
Luckily, I didn't get sprayed. Luckily, I didn't
where
get
I was
sprayed.
set up, so I had my whole area decked out. I had my little sight, and all of a sudden, all I see is a flashlight in the distance going all over the place, and then my phone goes off, and all I see on my phone is, guys, there's skunks, watch out. And I'm like, all right.
John was actually sitting in the grass playing with cat balls. That's a true statement. That's a true statement. I literally, when I shine my flashlight over to John, I see him sitting down in the grass and just like
trying to put cat
roll.
balls. I was like,
The configuration is key.
It is.
That's what's going to summon the ghost.
Obviously. Hey, listen, we tried everything else at this point.
So I chased off the skunks. Didn't get sprayed,
Surprisingly.
thankfully. Actually, we caught that one on camera too, the skunks. So they will be in the video.
Alright, cool.
New mascot.
Yes. Well, what? Excuse me, new
No.
mascot? We have a mascot.
No.
His name is Lutesh.
We have multiple mascots now.
Which actually, John,
We
you screwed
do
up
not
because you
have.
do not see Lutesh out on the table.
Where's
Not my
Latash?
It is your fault. Lutesh is in the closet.
Not my fault.
I will get him out for the
Ooh.
next episode.
Who lives here? Why is Lutash in the closet at any time?
This is the Wicked New England Studios.
Crazy.
And you put Latash in the closet?
I can't keep all this stuff out full time.
That is blasphemy. I'm just kidding, guys.
Well, you might as well get him. You're up
Might as
now.
well get it now.
That's it. Go ahead. He's in there. Peel back the curtain. There's Lutesh. Hey, I'll pull back this.
Don't worry, buddy.
I'll take the puzzle box.
Anthony,
He wants to-
Anthony
he
and I
wants to
still
cuddle
love
him
you.
now.
He's gonna stroke the duck a little bit. So there's Lutesh. Yep, that's
Crazy.
our mascot. It's quacktastic. Yeah. So back to the adventure at hand. So after this point, I'm not getting any results. I was getting really just nothing at all. Nothing on EVP. Nothing on EMF. Even tried whipping out the Spirit Talker app on the phone. Wasn't even getting anything on that. I was gonna tell you like some.
I had been
stuff.
getting some EMF results. However, I feel like my data potentially was skewed due to the K2 meter being not level.
I think it's
at
the
one
metal
point.
plate in your brain.
I wish I could explain it that way. Honestly, as stupid as it sounds, I wish it was that easy to explain. But I was getting some K2 results. However, at some point, I think this was the pushing force to say I might have to invest in a tri-field meter.
Invest.
Yeah. They're not too expensive, so pretty soon you guys might be seeing a new piece of gear in my pack. But that really pushed me just because I was getting a lot of results, but nothing else.
I did win over $100
You know.
last night on UFC.
Oh, so you'll get
307.
me the tri-field. Thank
So
you so
I'm
much.
just saying, there's money coming. There's money coming. As long as we keep betting on the fights, we'll be all right.
Surely.
But yeah, after that, I hooked up with Anthony, and we decided we were going to kind of co-investigate.
But before you hooked up with me, I went off in my own direction, and quite honestly, I wasn't getting anything on EMF either.
Why not?
Matter of fact, the EMF reader was, for the first time I had gone anywhere with that thing, even though I'm not familiar with it, it was reading zeros. And usually I have at least like a 10 or a 12, something within the area. This was reading zeros across the board. And I basically just stood there with the EVP recorder going, and I was just talking through my own thoughts of what we were doing, questioning a little bit of why do we have to keep doing cemeteries right now, as well as the ideas of my faith in some of the equipment. I do question the equipment, especially maybe it's because I'm just not familiar enough with it yet. I'm not using it often enough, and I'm sure I'm hell not going to break this stuff out in my own home. And
Come
find out
on, why
something.
not?
But I guess at one point in time, Andrew made his way over to me, collected my dumbass, and we ended up going off into a different direction. He said that John, I guess they were texting back and forth with one another. My phone was in my pocket, and at no point in time did the vibration go off to let me know that was
John
going
didn't
on.
want any friends
So-
nearby. He was like, I'm investigating solo right now. Disperse.
Okay, so
The only interesting thing that I think happened was when we had actually sat down or took a knee or whatever, had a bunch of flashlights come into the cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
At that point in time, John's light up section, because when you're in black night vision of the cameras, the only thing you're going to see is the flashlights of the IR.
Right.
And they've got the new IR lights, which I'm telling you, they light up like a Roman candle. I can see John through the camera, and I'm like a good, maybe 80 yards away.
it was awesome.
They were super
But John had gone dark. I didn't know where he was. And at one point in time, I'm like, Andrew, the flashlight's coming up behind you over your shoulder. We both saw this flashlight, and all of a sudden the flashlight goes off. I called John because I'm not seeing anything in my through my camera with the IR. Didn't want to throw a flashlight on and bring attention, especially with how many flashlights at that point in time were kind of going through the cemetery. And John was down at the other end. He ended up coming up to meet up with us, but he was nowhere over there. So, but yet, nobody was over there.
So just as a some context, so while we did our preliminary walk through the graveyard, there was this one corner that, for the first time, I got a weird feeling. So I said, "Hey, I want to investigate this corner." So for most of the solo investigation, I stayed in the corner, and I wasn't as brash as it might have sounded, but I did say, like, "Hey, I kind of want to do this on my own." And then after a while, I want to say 3 locations within that general area that I investigated. And I just decided to start walking towards the main road because I wasn't getting anything at that point. From there, I was almost to the street, or almost to the gate that would lead to the street, when I got a call from Anthony saying, "Hey, where are you? We just saw a flashlight coming from your area, but it's off now. What's going on? Where are you?" Meanwhile, I was already almost at the street.
And at this point in time, I want to say but from the time that the flashlight went out to the time that I physically called John, I would say was probably less than 2 minutes. And John, I haven't seen the video footage, but he said, "Nah, I started making my way towards where I thought you guys were, and I saw what you guys. I kind of thought you guys were doing something, so I figured do my own thing. I went down to the street." So I highly doubt that this flashlight that we saw, that was probably maybe 10, 12 stones back,
Yeah, give or take. And I mean,
3 rows over.
But realistically, we never actually found out who.
And it was one of the weird things, because when I was basically just talking to the camera, just telling you my point of view of things, to question the equipment, like I said. And I was also like, just being honest, I didn't feel any vibes whatsoever being in there. Usually, when being in a cemetery at night, at some point in time, you're gonna have that like little bit of a tingly feeling.
Yeah,
that night. But I was feeling absolutely nothing. I was calm, cool, collective. It didn't feel like anything was going on. The only time that things seemed weird was when it looked like people were actually walking through the cemetery with a bunch of flashlights.
Yeah, I will say for me too, the overall vibe of the cemetery, it didn't feel creepy at all. And I mean, even when we were walking through Oak Grove, like, we're not scared or nothing like that necessarily. I mean, there's nothing around that's like spooking us, but you get that creepiness feeling from walking in a cemetery at night. Like, I didn't even get that here. It was just nothing. So either we're getting extremely comfortable being in places like that at night, which I'd like to say that's the case, but I really don't think it is.
But the strange thing is, where we saw the flashlights go into the cemetery, we never at one point in time saw anybody come out, bumped into anybody while we were walking around. I believe at one point in time we started walking, we called it quits there and started walking out, and
we weren't
there
getting
was
any evidence.
nothing.
So then, at that point, we called it quits. John came back, met us. We packed up the bags, and we're like, all right, screw this. The night's still young, because at that point it was still early. We really wanted to shoot a video. So I was like, all right, where are we going? Like, there's got to be another place.
So we stopped at Dunkin' Donuts, like usual.
To figure it out. This is
America runs at Dunkin', so why not?
So, you get your coffee, you get your dunks. I think I got a couple of pumpkin spice donuts as well.
I had a strawberry refresher.
That's good. I had a pumpkin spice ice cream.
I think I just got the black coffee.
Pumpkin spice.
Black iced coffee.
That's not pumpkin.
This is not pumpkin. This is Monster.
And this is Oktoberfest.
Monster flavored.
And this is Oktoberfest.
It is October, so I mean,
this is Mountain Dew.
Voltage. Very good flavor as well. Yeah, but moving on from that, so I'm like, every time we go to Rehoboth, we seem to have a good time. There's a lot of good stuff going around there, right? We did Anawan Rock over there. We did the Dighton Rehoboth Bridge over there. A lot of lore, a lot of history. There's the hitchhiker on Route 44. I'm like, John, hop on Google, find us something nearby that says it's haunted. We're going to go check it out. We've never been. No research. We're going in blind.
And that
What'd
led
you come
us
up
to
with?
the Lakeville Cemetery. So the
Excuse
reason
me?
why
Excuse
that
me?
Excuse me? Lakeville Cemetery.
Not the Lakeville Cemetery.
Lakeview? Lakeview?
No.
Nope.
What?
Wow.
Dude,
That's where we're investigating next week.
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
John's got his brain in the cloud.
Sorry, I'm ready for this next investigation.
But there's an old military cemetery in Rehoboth. Very
Cool.
small. I believe it's actually Revolutionary War era.
That's crazy.
I want to say so,
The
yeah.
stones are that old.
I'm
By how those stones were looking, even in the night view and the flashlights. Unfortunately, I mean, personally, I would like to just say that if we
I believe it
were...
even started with a P, didn't it?
Palmer's River. Palmer's River Churchyard.
Palmer's River
Completely
Churchyard.
wrong.
Completely way
Because
off.
I'm like,
So,
oh,
folks,
yeah.
what he's talking about is next week we're actually investigating the Lakeville Indian Cemetery,
Yes.
which is what he's referring to. He's just jacked up for
Oh,
the
man.
investigation.
Sorry,
But
guys.
you know, there's that.
Palmer's River
But
Churchyard.
no, Palmer's River Churchyard. So we
Wow.
get out there, and the first thing I said to myself, like, after all these like twisting turns, like the 2 lanes back through the middle of the freaking woods, super dark, no streetlights, anything like that. So we're using our high beams most of the way, just trying to get there.
Yeah, my
And then I
night
noticed-
vision's not as good as it is.
We're surrounded by houses. This graveyard is surrounded on every side with houses. I'm like, oh shit. I was like, either we're gonna get arrested or we're gonna get the cops called on us. You know, screw it. Grab the cameras. I was like, leave your bags. We're going in light.
Yeah, and so
We did get some
It was
hits,
interesting.
though.
it was very interesting.
It was interesting.
I would say that this place had the most compelling evidence to me. Now, granted, I know I'm still skeptic because we weren't there for an extended amount of time, and alongside that, I don't think we would be allowed to be there for an extended amount of time. I think little shoes here and there.
I think,
I don't know.
to be honest, I think if we went, knocked on the doors of the people adjacent on both sides and just been like, hey, we're going to shoot a video, we're going to keep the noise down, do you mind? And so forth, I think honestly people might not have a problem with it.
Which that's something that we might have to explore in the future, because we got the most compelling evidence that I've seen in the sense that we got a smart response for 2 questions that we asked. Is there someone here? Yes or no. Once for yes, 2 for no. Said yes, and then what was the second question that I asked?
Do you want us to leave? And I said no.
And it said no. So it was. I thought that was the most compelling evidence because, I mean, we're getting a response to a question that we're asking, a smart response to a question that we're asking. It wasn't like it just kept going off at random intervals.
And that's the first time we've actually had that sort of level of interactivity.
And that was cool.
So,
Alongside that, one of the batteries that I had fully charged, for my camera, was dead. That was interesting to me because that hadn't happened to me before. I thought that was very cool, especially because that's what you see on TV all the time.
yeah, right. Drain my battery.
I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, until we have more evidence from there, I am still going to have that mindset of skepticism until concrete proof. But that being said, because that was the most compelling evidence, I would really like to go back there at some point.
I will say, on the ride home, John actually said, like, this has reinvigorated me and made me
Yes.
want to investigate more places. So
Yes.
that's pretty awesome when you have somebody who's, like, usually completely skeptical just go, like, no, man, we got to get back out there, And honestly, maybe it's just the more time you spend out there in these places, like, maybe you're opening up to be more receptive could be what it is. I don't know.
It's entirely possible, especially since, 2/3 of the group from the beginning has said that both of you believe to a point where you could not be considered skeptics on any level. I know we're all going with the mindset of we need factual data that we can compile.
Yeah.
100%.
And that's important to me. However, I was the one going into this saying that I am the skeptic of the group.
Yeah,
I know that.
I can't present to America what I believe in my gut. There's need to be something to back it up. I mean, I know what I believe, I know what I feel, I know what vibes that I've gotten or things like that, but until you actually see evidence, hardcore evidence caught, it's
And that's just it. It's a matter of proving our beliefs. I know I've been not so much quiet as far as saying like what I believe as far as the ghost possibilities, the spiritual aspect, but I'm looking to try to like prove. I want people to believe when I'm speaking to them that this stuff is real. But that's one of the things that I'm really looking forward to trying to gather the information and proving. The last thing you want to do is have millions of people tell you how much full of shit you are.
Right, and I just want a concrete yes or no. Obviously, no is a lot harder, but at the same time, yes would be somewhat easier if we keep getting smart responses, if we keep getting intelligent answers.
I mean, to get
questions.
to the point where we could have like a whole conversation and really get a specific spirit story, that would be amazing.
That would be
That
amazing.
would be like...
I would like that. Or, if we keep going and we get nothing, I mean, at that point, it wouldn't change my mind. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
Either way, we're going to have a good time.
And you don't have to worry about that, folks, because there's still a lot of places on our list left to explore. There's going to be plenty more videos coming out. We're not stopping. Okay, we're just getting started out. I mean, we're going to keep steamrolling.
And we're looking into other places that some people have probably never actually physically investigated before.
Which, so, without giving too much away, because I don't want to spoil anything, we've been working on trying to get a place that only one other group has explored. One other famous
Let's
group.
just say it maybe is a haunted mansion that's not Disney.
So we're really working on trying to get this place to allow us to investigate. If we get this potential place, you're going to see me nerd out a lot because I'm very excited.
And honestly, it's so big, we could probably split it up into multiple videos. I doubt it would be one video.
More so for your sake because,
Yeah.
Not to mention...
If we're paying to investigate a location, I'm staying as long as that permit allows me to stay. Like, you're going to need the National Guard to pull me out. Okay?
Maybe not that far from
Okay, maybe not that far. But I'm staying. I'm staying until that thing runs out. And they're like, hey, your time's up. And I'm like, okay, 5 more.
We're just packing.
We're packing up.
You know?
The next room. But no, we're going to do what we can to keep giving you guys good content. And hope you've been enjoying the podcast. Really, I do. Another thing I want to say to everybody for sure is shoot us some questions too. Like if there's anything you want to know, like if you've been watching the investigation videos too, which I hope you have, do you have questions about them? Is there anything you wish you could see more of during those investigations? And so forth. Any criticism, whatever it is, we'll take it. By all means, send it out there. We like hearing what you think. But I think that's actually it for this episode. We really just want to talk to you about the last week. What we investigated. We have another investigation we're going on Friday night.
Can't wait. That one's the actual, Lakeville? Lakeview?
Most likely.
Is it Ville
Most
or
likely.
or
Most
View?
likely.
Is it?
Most likely.
Either way, it's on the list. We're kind of jumbling things around as far as like, where we want to investigate outside. The weather's starting to get nice, which is great. It's not too hot. I can't wait till like the winter and you guys get some snow videos with like the crunch of the snow and like, have us running through the woods.
Maybe
But,
Bigfoot? No, I'm just kidding.
This is Baby Sass, by the way.
Yeah.
That's his new nickname. It's been dubbed by the group.
Yeah, but
This
this
is
about as
Baby
tall
Sass.
as a baby Sasquatch. So
Yeah, exactly. He's the biggest one,
And,
so naturally, Baby Sass.
Then we have infant sass, fetus sass. It works.
At least I didn't get fetus. Okay, on that, folks, we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you again for watching. We appreciate everything you do, and we're glad you're part of the Wicked New England family.
Bye, guys.
Later.